welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Christy and this is Planning Us Healthy. So I actually just got done with meal prep. Today is Sunday, it's meal prep day. I just got done with meal prep and I have my videos all uploading right now into my editing program, so I figured why not sit down and get to my Q&A video. So you guys know I said that I put some questions up and I had anticipated that I would do a Q&A video when I hit 2,500 subscribers. I assumed that it would be probably around the end of October by the time I hit that, and I figured the timing would be good because my September and October are really crazy at work. So I figured that would be good and I would do the video the end of October. But I grew really fast this month, and which I love. I'm excited about that. But I'm at like 2,700 subscribers now. I'm not even sure. I haven't even checked it in a couple days to see what it's at. But I really appreciate it. I'm so thankful. This is just something that I really didn't expect. I just wanted to share some things with everybody, and the amount of friends that I've met is just very heartwarming. I really appreciate everybody's support. So I see people sharing my videos now and sharing my, I have a Facebook, Planning Us Healthy has a Facebook page, and I see people sharing things on there, and it just really excites me. I really appreciate it. So I am going to answer your questions. So I have a lot of questions, you guys. There's like over 20 questions here. So, which is great. I love that you all sent in so many questions. I think what I'll do is I'll do it in two parts. I'll do part 1 and part 2. So this is part 1. So what I'll do is at the end of this video, I will either put a card or I will put the, you know how on the last screen I have like suggested videos where it says subscribe and thanks for watching. I'll put part 2 right there. So all you have to do when you get to the end of this is just click on that. It'll take you straight to part 2. You don't have to get out or do anything. I will be putting them up together though. So I'm not going to put part 1 up and then you'll have to wait for part 2. There'll be one right after the other. I'll put them up together. It's just I'm going to separate them because I think with over 20 questions, this is going to be quite lengthy. And also another thing is I am only going to use usernames. I'm not going to use people's real names. And the reason being is I may know who you are based on your username, but I don't know if you want me sharing your real name. So I'm just going to say what the username is. So let's get started. Theabella8823 says, is your house always so dang spotless? Good grief, girl. I want to know how you work 2 jobs and YouTube and meal prep and your house is always perfection. You guys, you don't even realize how bad my house is. I try to only show you the clean parts, and of course I make sure my kitchen I try to keep my kitchen clean. My kitchen of all is like the area that's, you know, that's where food is prepared. So I do always try to keep the kitchen clean. But the rest of my house has really, you know, I used to once a week go through and clean, and you know, I put Pandora on, I cranked the music, I listened to old 80s, and I would just clean my house. You know, everything. Just did the whole thing. And now I'm lucky if I do it once a month. So I am very, very fortunate that I have an amazing husband who helps me tremendously. He helps, you know, he does everything outside around the house, like everything. He takes care of my car for me. You guys, I've been with this man for 33 years. I've never washed my car once. I've just never had to. He always does it for me. And he helps me. So like today, he stripped the bed and he's washing the bedding for me. And because he knows that I wanted to do this video and I had the prep. So he is a tremendous help. So without him, I don't even know what this house would be. So that's really how I do it. I have an amazing husband. Okay, Connie Camp 737 says, a tour of your kitchen. I'm thinking about a prep table and I want to see how your setup is in the kitchen. I hope that's not too personal. Not too personal at all. I am going to insert a clip of my kitchen right now. Okay, so it's not the cleanest right now, but this is my kitchen. Yes, I have to empty my recyclables. But I just wanted to show you guys because you guys seem to think that I'm like the most organized, my house is spotless person, and that is so not true. So I figured, you know what, I'm not even gonna, like, my dishes are still in the sink. I haven't put those away. So he wanted to see my prep table. So this is basically how I have it. It's just sitting right in the middle of the kitchen. So my kitchen is not huge. My camera is usually set up, or my phone is usually set up right there in front of like the stove. This is where I'm usually standing right here. The camera's over there. And then it's on. So usually when you guys see me on prep, I'm over here. So that's my prep table. That's where it is, just in the middle of the kitchen. As you can see, I don't have a walk-in pantry. I have a pretty small kitchen. Let me show you the pantry. This is my pantry, and I was going to organize it, but no, I want to show you guys that I am not overly organized. Look at this. It's a mess. I have all my Aldi bags just crammed down here. I have some dry milk just in case, you know, hurricanes. And then my crock pot is down there. So this is my pantry. This is it. I just use this cabinet. And again, look, so not organized. So that is one thing that I wish I had, is a big walk-in pantry that I could put all my little appliances, my small appliances, because right now this is where I kind of keep everything. And I have my air fryer in another cabinet, but see, everything's just kind of crammed in there. So that is one thing for if we ever get another house, which I don't know that we will, because this house is not bad, but the property is what makes it. So that is my kitchen. There we go. And that is how I put the prep table. It's just right in the middle of the kitchen. So Connie, I hope that helps in your decision. Okay, Kat and Brink, could you talk a little bit about your journey? Have you always been so committed to the program, and how do you stay so positive? Thank you. So my journey, okay, this one's going to be a little bit long. So my weight loss journey goes back, honestly, to when I was about 14. I was by no means a fat kid. I was maybe 20 pounds overweight. And my grandmother was doing, it was called Diet Workshop. And she was one of the receptionists there. And she took care of like the food, you know, the little food things they have. And I always used to go and help her. And she allowed me to join and helped me. And I lost my 20 pounds. And, you know, to a 14-year-old girl, that was like awesome. That was so cool. So then, you know, fast forward years down the road. And when I was 19, I got pregnant with my son. And I had him, and then my weight started to creep. I'm only 5 foot tall, but my normal weight was never really, you know, for 5 foot tall, you could weigh 100 pounds and be normal. That is not normal for me. 100 pounds on me is like a skeleton. So after my son, I weighed probably around 180, and then I would go kind of like go to Weight Watchers and off Weight Watchers and periodically. And then when I was 25, I had my daughter. And then after that, it kind of soared. So then in 2003, I joined Weight Watchers, really joined for the first time, committed, went to the meetings every single week, like never missed a meeting. I was known as the queen of journaling. We had, you know, you guys remember we had your little books then. They didn't have, I don't even think they had Weight Watchers online at the time. So, I did real well then. I actually had quit smoking that year in January of 2003. And then I joined Weight Watchers in March 2003. And then by December of 2003, I was down 75 pounds. And then I ended up making my goal weight the next year, which was 128. And I couldn't keep that though. I ended up having gallbladder surgery. I had some issues with pancreatitis. And they think that it was because I wasn't getting enough fats in. So I ended up having surgery, and then my doctor said that she felt like 135 was good for me to have for my goal weight. So I had a doctor's note and ended up becoming a lifetime member based on the doctor's note of 135. I don't know now that I would even be able to see 135. I mean, I'm 48 years old, so I don't even know if 135 is doable for me at this point. We'll see what happens. So then after that, I ended up just over the years gained the weight back. I went back and forth, back and forth. You know, I would do good, I would not do good. I went through menopause, and looking back, I didn't realize I went through it as bad as I did. I wanted to do it without hormones, wanted to try to do it with myself. I'm like a big wuss when it comes to medications, so I try to do everything the natural route if I can. But I have ulcerative colitis also. So that on top of all the menopause symptoms, and if you look up the possibilities of menopause symptoms, whatever it says, I had it. I had it bad. I had never experienced anxiety or depression or anything. I mean, everybody has some sort of anxiety, but this was bad. This was to the point where I would almost have like pure panic attacks. And looking back, I really struggled, and it was probably about a 4 or 5 year process. So in 2018, it kind of started letting off, and then 2019 is when I got back on track with WW as it is now, and rejoined the end of January. So that's kind of my long journey. So yeah, so if you are, you know, coming close, having some weird things going on, I mean, you guys, my face, when I went through menopause, you would not believe how my face looked. It looked like I had a rash all over me all the time, like chicken pox almost. My skin was horrible. I had the anxiety, the depression. I had so many things going wrong. So if you are having any of those things and don't think that you are old enough, don't think of that, because my whole family, my mother, her twin sister, my older sister, and myself, we all have gone through menopause in our late 40s. Most of us are around between 45 and 47. So definitely don't think that you're too young. If you're having weird symptoms that you've never had before, go see your doctor about it. Have you always been so committed to the program? So no, I've really not been always committed to the program. That is, this year I just said, that's it. I need to do this. And how do I stay so positive? I'm just a firm believer of being positive. I have bad days, don't get me wrong. I'm a woman. I have days that I just, sit there and cry for no reason, which was something I did with menopause, cried all the time. I have bad days. I have days that, nobody can boost me up. Nobody can get me out of my funk. I'm not always positive. I have days where I honk at people driving and flip people off. I don't want to be a person like that. That's not who I want to be, but sometimes that's just the way I am. So yeah, I'm not always positive, but I try to always put myself in I always try and look at it that somebody is always worse off, that things could always be worse. Wherever, there's always a positive to everything. Sometimes my husband says that I'm too positive to where it sometimes makes me naive, because I always give people the benefit of the doubt. But I choose to believe that we still have good, that there's still hope for humanity. I really choose to believe that. Donna Donner, are you going to be creating a website for your meal plans and recipes? So you can see that these questions were made a little bit ago, because I have, within the last couple of weeks, started my website, planningushealthy.com. I'm still tweaking it. The recipe page, I wasn't really satisfied with it cosmetically, but it's coming along, and I'm now putting nutrition facts on there. So if anybody does not do WW and they really just want to follow me because of the meal prep, you don't have to be on Weight Watchers to follow my channel. You can get ideas from my channel regardless, even if you're doing keto. I mean, you can still get ideas about planning and prepping and things like that, and just use what I'm doing as a guide. So on my website, I have put nutrition facts, so those of you who are counting calories or things like that, you're able to easily get that. Please keep in mind that those are estimates, and always look at the points yourself, look at the calories yourself, because what I'm putting on there is based on the brands that I use and the amounts that I use, and it may be different depending on what you're purchasing. And Bonifant, something like that. We need to have like a phonetics or something. What should we do when we hit a plateau in weight loss? Got to my goal and gained about 9 pounds. Now I am unable to lose it and have tried several of the WW plans. Love your channel. You are one of my favorites. Thank you, Anne. I really appreciate that. What to do in a plateau? So when I hit a plateau, the first thing I usually do is go back through my tracker, see if there's anything I've done differently from in the beginning when I was losing, and just kind of get some ideas. Look deep within yourself, because sometimes, especially us women, we tend to be very defensive and try and tell ourselves, I'm doing everything right, it's just not working. When we dig deep and we be truthful to ourselves, we may find that we're not drinking as much water, we're not getting as much activity. We might be, taking bites of things here and there, not tracking it, not truly tracking. We have to keep in mind that sometimes, even if we take like a bite of peanut butter, that 1 tablespoon of peanut butter could be 3 points. So if you're doing that every day throughout the week, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, and you're not tracking that, 3 points times 7, you've got 21 extra points that you haven't tracked. So just be very truthful to yourself and be mindful of things that you've done different. We do tend, I know for me personally, I tend to kind of relax a little bit and get comfortable and maybe try and guess, oh, okay, this is a ballpark. I think this is about right. So when you start doing that, it's okay if it's working for you. But when things start not working, then just backtrack a little bit and take a look at things that you're doing differently. Maybe you're not portioning out things right, properly like you were in the beginning, or things like that. Also, something that I do is shake things up. So a lot of times, for me, I have 23 points a day. Sometimes the best way that I lose is on the day that I weigh in the morning, and then that day I have what I refer to as a high day. I have maybe 50 points that day. So I use about half of my weeklies, and then the rest of the week I go back down, and then like the next day I might have maybe 17 points. As long as they're good points, I'm going to just do 17. And then the next day I'll jump up to 23. Then I'll jump back down to 19. And just kind of go back and forth throughout the week. And keep your body guessing what you're doing. And sometimes that works for me to kickstart things. Let's see. Kim Bedgood. She says, love your videos. You have probably said, but where are you from? And I'm going to combine this one with Tamsin. Let me find Tamsin's question. Part of Tamsin's question. All right, where is it? So part of Tamsin's question was, are you and your husband lifelong Floridians? If not, where were you raised? So I'm going to answer that for both you, Kim and Tamsin. So I am originally from New York. I grew up in New York. I actually lived in New York State my whole life until I was 25. Yes, 25. Actually 26. The year I turned 26, my husband and I moved to Florida. So I was born in Rochester, New York, and I grew up in a small town called Avon, where my grandfather was the jack of all trades. He was the barber, the mayor, the postman, the everything there. And I miss you, Grandpa. So I grew up in Avon. I lived there from my whole life until the summer before 9th grade. My parents divorced when I was 7, and my mother was moving. I lived with my mother, and she was moving upstate to Messina, which is where she actually grew up. And so we moved from Avon up to Messina. It's about a 5-hour drive. Messina is way up near Canada. We're literally about 10 minutes from the Canadian border. So that is where I went to high school, was in Messina, New York. And so moved there the summer before 9th grade, and then I met my husband the summer before 10th grade, and that was history. And then my husband and I have been together ever since. So 33 years this year we've been together, and we're kind of pathetic. Like, we love being together. We are kind of like, I don't know, it's like we're still in honeymoon stage. He's just my best friend, and I love doing everything with him. So anyway, so then we lived in, we lived there through high school, and then we moved back down towards the Rochester area to a town near Avon called Livonia, where my dad was living at the time. And we lived there for maybe about 5 years, moved back up to Messina for a couple years. My son was born when we lived in Livonia. My son was born, and then when we moved back up to Messina, had my daughter, and then when my daughter was 9 months old, we moved to Florida, and we've been in Florida ever since. So I know a lot of back and forth stuff, but we love Florida. We are in Central Florida. We absolutely love it here. It took us about 5 years to really get comfortable here, but definitely don't miss the snow. We really enjoy it. It's tough in the summertime for those couple months, but the rest of the year, it's so worth it. So the next one comes from DermGirl63. What are you most looking forward to when you hit goal weight? Do you have something special planned as a reward when you hit goal? I never really thought about that. I don't know. I think what I'm looking forward to, honestly, the most is just being more comfortable. Just being more healthy, being active, feeling healthy, not feeling, when I first started, I was 240 pounds on a 5-foot frame, and to the point that I would take a shower and be out of breath, like just drying off. I would be out of breath, not being able to cross my legs. I'm starting to be able to cross my legs again. And so I think I'm looking forward to those NSVs, the non-scale victories like that are just things that I can do. Something special planned as a reward. Honestly, I can't stand clothes shopping when I'm heavy. It depresses me, especially like right now as I'm losing. I kind of stay away from shopping because in my mind, I'm doing really well. I'm losing all the time and I'm doing good and I'm feeling good about myself. And if I go to a store and things don't fit me like I think they should, then I'm going to get depressed, and I just don't want to do that yet. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to go clothes shopping when I get down to my goal weight. Rose609 says, how do you come up with all your recipes? Honestly, I sometimes just things pop in my mind and I think, ooh, that would be good with that. As I'm eating, things pop in my mind. But mostly Google. I usually, if I want to look, say for like a chicken recipe, I go to Google, I type in chicken recipes and I hit images and I look at the images. That's pretty much how I come up with my recipes. I just Google images, I look at what sounds good, and then I pull up the recipe and see if it's something I can tweak to make it point friendly. Tammy Lattimore says, what keeps you motivated? And also I'm going to combine that with Mara, because Mara also said, congratulations on all your subscribers. You are always so positive. What keeps you motivated? So I'm going to answer that question for Tammy and Mara. So what keeps me motivated is pictures. I look at pictures. I always try to, keep myself looking at my before and after picture, before and during pictures. I look at my before and after picture from originally. So I'm going to put in some pictures that keep me motivated. These are pictures of, there's pictures, you'll see my before and after from when I was 222 pounds to when I got down to 129. That is when I lost my weight in 2003. And then I'm going to put some other pictures of when I started my journey this time when I was 240. So this is something that keeps me motivated, is by looking at these pictures. So that's one thing that keeps me motivated. Another thing that keeps me motivated is watching all my YouTube buddies out there. And the community is just really great. I am actually so far behind right now on watching videos. I had to give up and just start fresh and just catch the videos as I can. But those keep me motivated. Seeing everybody's videos, that keeps me motivated. And looking at before and after pictures on the WW site. If you go to WeightWatchers.com or I think it's WW.com now, they have before and after pictures, and those help to keep me motivated too. Tammy also says, do you also exercise to help you lose weight? And that question was also asked by Lynn Crooks. She had asked, have you started adding exercise to your life? So right now I'm not exercising. I am trying to get my 10,000 steps. That's all I'm doing at the moment. But I have exercised in the past. I loved Pilates. I used to do Pilates. I also used to run 3 miles in the morning, and I loved weightlifting. I used to lift weights every day. Well, not every day, maybe 3 times a week. So I ended up having what do you call it? An incisional hernia. It was like a hernia way up high, like where I had my gallbladder surgery. And they think it was from my lifting. I probably wasn't lifting properly. So ever since then, I've just kind of been kind of scared to get back into lifting. And after I had that surgery, I did gain a lot of weight, and I was put on tachycardia medicine, which is for a fast heart rate. And so I have to try to keep my heart rate down. And so when I'm exercising, it builds my heart rate, and that kind of scares me. So I'm just taking things slow right now. I'm going to see, I have an appointment in November with my doctor to see where I am right now. And so I will talk to him about adding back in exercise, because I definitely do want to get exercise added back. I think I'm going to do yoga or Pilates though this time. Okay, so Tammy also wants to know, she also says, I love your channel. Thank you, Tammy. How did you start meal planning? Do you ever get bored with meal planning? So there was another question about meal planning. So Deb Korn also asked a similar question. She asked, when you started food prepping, did you start small and then build up to what you are now doing? So I'm going to answer both Tammy's question and Deb's in the same. So how did I start meal planning? I actually, and Deb, when did I start meal planning? So I actually started with freezer meals. I loved cooking in my crock pot, and when the kids were younger, it was super easy to throw a bunch of stuff in a crock pot, and we had this huge dinner for the 4 of us. So I started doing freezer meals first, and basically you just put everything into the freezer or into a freezer bag, and you put it in your freezer, and then the day that you're going to do it, you get it out the night before, and then you just dump it in your crock pot the next morning, and you go about your day. And so I used to do those. I actually did one day where I did 50 freezer meals in one day. I stayed home. We had like a court holiday or something, and I did 50 meals in one day. I was so tired. But I had a freezer full of meals that I was able to just, dump in the crock pot and go. So that's kind of how I got started. I then started doing I was testing out some of the meal delivery services like Home Chef, Blue Apron. Let's see, there's a bunch of them. I've probably tried about 10 of them. My favorites are Home Chef and Blue Apron. So if you don't like to meal plan or, meal prep like I do on Sundays, and you want to check one of those out, I would definitely recommend. Blue Apron, I think, had they were tied in with WW, where they had pointed meals, like you could choose your points. So you can check into those. I'm not sure if they still do it or not, but Home Chef and Blue Apron were 2 of my favorites. So I was doing those for a little bit, and then I thought, well, I can do this by myself. And so that's how I kind of started. I was just kind of doing dinners, and then breakfast I didn't used to really prep. I used to make that every day for my husband and I. So then I just thought, well, I can just do that on Sundays. I can just, when I prep dinners, I can just do breakfast, and then I started adding in lunch. So that's pretty much how I got started. So Deb, to answer your question, did you start small and then build up? Yes, absolutely. I started small and then built up. And then Tammy wants to know, do you ever get bored with meal planning? I don't really get bored. Sometimes I don't feel like meal prepping. I will wake up on Sunday morning and think, oh, I just don't know if I can do this today. Because it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to add the filming part of it too. That takes a little bit more. But it's so worth it during the week, and I love sharing it with everybody. So, but as far as getting bored with the meal planning, I definitely don't get bored, because I am always looking for something new. I keep it variety. You guys see that I don't, with the exception of some things. Now I'm infatuated with my pancake bakes lately, but for the most part, I just, everything's variety, so I don't really allow myself to get bored. If I were to start getting bored, I would change things up for sure. Yvonne Thompson Luce says, what career do you have? Love your channel. Thank you, Yvonne. So my career, I'm not going to say the agency I work for. I will just say that I work in our county courthouse. I don't want to say the agency just because I just have to be careful with that. That's all. I am a manager in the criminal division, and I was hired there 15 years ago. I was hired by the agency I work for now to build a department. They were starting a new department in the criminal division and hired me to coordinate and build it, and then eventually be the manager once we had people and if I proved myself. And so I did, and it went good. It's a great job. I love what I do. I feel like I help people sometimes. The criminal world is a little bit of a different world. It definitely keeps your eyes open to things that go on. So I built the department from the ground up, and then ended up, once we opened our doors, I started in February of 05, and then opened our doors to our department in August of 05, and then of course, you know, once we had staff, then I was promoted to manager then. And so I've been there ever since, so for 15 years. I also have a home business that is a transcription business. I have done that since my son was a baby, and he is going to be 28 this year. So when he was little, I did medical transcription. I actually took a medical transcription course, and pretty much taught myself how to type, and you know, I self-taught myself, and then took that course, and then I worked in the hospital doing medical transcription, and then I started getting my own clients. I had a doctor as a client, I had a psychiatrist as a client, and I was doing transcription that way. And then I started doing kind of corporate transcription, and then I backed away a little bit throughout the years. I was kind of just doing that. When the kids were little, I did that full time, but then when we moved to Florida, I got, I worked outside the home. But then I started slowly adding the transcription back in. I started getting clients again, and got into legal transcription, and I fell in love with legal transcription. I loved doing that. It is kind of like if you see a stenographer in court, when they do the stenographer thing, the transcription I do is there is no court stenographer, so they record the court hearing, and then they send me the audio, and I put it in a transcript form, and I transcribe the whole court hearing. And so I do a lot of family court type hearing and some criminal. So I really have a lot of different genres of transcription that I do. It just depends. And then I also do closed captioning editing also in my home business. So yeah. So that, and then I have a YouTube channel that I decided to start, and had no clue what work would be involved with that. So, but this is my passion. I've always loved transcription, but I'm getting older, and all that typing, you know, you get paid by how fast you type it. I can type 100 words a minute, but I'm getting older and starting to get aches and pains. So when I started YouTube, I had started it with no thought in my mind that I would make money doing it. But I would, now that I'm doing it, I would love to see if down the road I can replace my home job and not do the transcription as much anymore, back off of that and do more of YouTube, because this is my passion. I love doing the YouTube stuff. I love making recipes. I love doing my website, and just really want to build the brand name of Planning Us Healthy. You guys know what my goal, my ultimate goal, is to write a cookbook and have a cookbook published. That is my absolute goal, and I cannot wait to have it out there. I just can't wait. I can't wait for that. So I'm rambling now. All right. You guys, this video is going to be so long. Okay. Sandy from Let's Get Fit with Sandy says, when you absolutely positively need to go off track for just that one moment, what would you indulge in? Mine is my turtle cake. So I don't know what I would indulge in, because for the most part, if I'm going to indulge, I'm going to count it. I'm just going to count the points. I'm going to use my extra weeklies. But I would say to really indulge, I would love to just eat like 3 Snickers bar and some peanut butter cups, for one. And second is a pizza place that we have in my town that makes the most delicious stuffed pizza. It is so good, but it is full of grease. It's just a lot. So I would splurge on that. Mind you, I would feel like total crap afterwards, but that is probably one thing I would splurge on. Okay, Tamsin Darlin. So Tamsin has some questions. I already answered about if my husband and I are lifelong Floridians and where was I raised. And she says, love you, Christy. Love Tamsin. Tamsin, you've always been such a faithful supporter of mine. I really appreciate it. And Tamsin wants to know, do you have siblings? If so, are you oldest, middle, or youngest? And how many children do you have? So I am going to end part 1 here because I'm going to have to go into a little bit with this because I have a very diverse family. So I'm going to end part 1 here. I'm going to either put a card. If you don't see a card, then just hang on till the end screen. On that end screen, you'll see part 2 video. And if you're new to my channel, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the notification bell so you're notified anytime I upload new content. And I'll see you guys in part 2.